Captain Li Wu-jin pulled his old cargo ship into Nexus Station with tired hands. The engines made strange noises that worried him, but he had no money to fix them. He needed this job to work out or his family would be in trouble. In the back of his ship, two small girls played quietly with worn-out toys. So-min and Ji-woo were 8 years old now. They had been living on the ship with their father for 2 years, ever since their mother died. Wu-jin tried his best to take care of them, but it was hard work flying cargo runs and watching over 2 children at the same time. "Dad, are we staying here long?" So-min asked, looking up from her drawing tablet. "Just long enough to unload the cargo and get paid," Wu-jin said. He tried to sound cheerful, but the girls could tell he was worried. They were getting good at reading his moods. Nexus Station was busy and loud. Ships came and went all day and night. Traders sold goods from across the galaxy. Smugglers met in dark corners to make deals. It was not a good place for children, but Wu-jin had no choice. He could not afford to leave them somewhere safe. After unloading his cargo, Wu-jin walked to the station's cantina. The girls stayed on the ship like he told them to. The cantina was full of smoke and noise. Pilots drank cheap alcohol and complained about their jobs. Traders argued over prices. Everyone seemed angry about something. Wu-jin ordered a simple meal and sat in a corner booth. He was counting his money when he noticed her. She sat alone at a table near the back of the room. Her skin had a golden color and her ears were pointed like a cat's. Her eyes glowed softly in the dim light. She was one of the cat people from the outer worlds. But something was wrong with her. Her clothes were torn and dirty. Her armor had dents and scratches. She stared at an empty glass with sad eyes. Other people in the cantina whispered about her and pointed, but she did not seem to care. "That's Kiravel," the bartender said to another customer. "She used to be some kind of warrior princess. Now look at her. The cat people threw her out after they lost the war." Wu-jin felt sorry for her. He knew what it was like to lose everything. When his wife died, he felt like his whole world had ended. The only thing that kept him going was his daughters. Suddenly, 3 station security guards walked into the cantina. They looked around until they saw Kiravel. She did not move as they came over to her table. "You owe docking fees," the lead guard said. "Pay up or come with us." Kiravel looked up slowly. "I have no money," she said in a quiet voice. "Then you're under arrest," the guard said. He reached for her arm. That was when things went wrong. The moment the guard touched her, Kiravel moved faster than anyone could see. Her hand shot out and grabbed his wrist. The guard cried out in pain. The other 2 guards pulled out their stun weapons. "Let him go," one guard shouted. Kiravel released the first guard's wrist, but her golden eyes now burned with anger. "Do not touch me again," she said. The guards raised their weapons. Other people in the cantina moved away from the table. Some ran toward the door. Wu-jin knew this would end badly for the Catwoman. Station guards did not like to be embarrassed. Without thinking, Wu-jin stood up. "Wait," he called out. "I'll pay her docking fees." Everyone turned to look at him. The guards seemed confused. Kiravel stared at him with surprise. Wu-jin walked over to their table, pulling out his credit chip. "How much does she owe?" he asked. The lead guard checked his tablet. 200 credits, he said. Wu-jin's heart sank. That was almost all the money he had just earned. But he looked at Kiravel's face and saw something that reminded him of his own pain. He transferred the money to the station account. "There," he said. "She's paid up." The guards looked disappointed but left the cantina. The other customers went back to their drinks and conversations. Wu-jin sat down across from Kiravel. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "You looked like you needed help," Wu-jin said. Kiravel studied his face. "You are human. Humans are supposed to be smart." That was not smart. Maybe not, Wu-jin agreed. But it felt like the right thing to do. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Kiravel asked, "What do you want from me?" Humans always want something. Wu-jin thought about his answer. He thought about So-min and Ji-woo waiting on his ship. He thought about all the lonely nights trying to help them with their homework while planning the next cargo run. He thought about how scared he was that he was not a good enough parent. "I have 2 daughters," he said finally. 8 years old. I've been raising them alone since their mother died. It's hard work. They need someone who can take care of them when I can't be there." Kiravel's eyes narrowed. "You want a babysitter?" "No," Wu-jin said. "I want a wife. A mother for my girls. Someone who will help me keep them safe." Kiravel leaned back in her chair. "You are asking me to marry you?" "We just met." "I know how it sounds," Wu-jin said. But think about it. You need somewhere to go. I need help with my family. We could help each other. I am an exiled warrior, Kiravel said. I know nothing about raising children. I didn't know anything about it either when I started, Wu Jin replied. I learned as I went. You could too. Kiravel was quiet for a long time. She looked around the cantina at all the rough faces and hard eyes. She had nowhere else to go, no family to return to, no friends who would help her. What would you expect from this marriage? She asked. Help with the girls, Wu Jin said. Someone to watch them when I have to work. Someone to teach them things I can't. In return, you get a place to stay and a family that won't throw you away. I have claws, Kiravel said, holding up her hand. Sharp points came out of her fingertips. I could hurt them by accident. You won't, Wu Jin said. I can tell you're not that kind of person. How can you tell? Because you're sitting here broken-hearted instead of fighting back, Wu Jin said. That tells me you have a good heart. Kiravel retracted her claws and put her hands flat on the table. This is a strange proposal, she said. These are strange times, Wu Jin replied. Finally, Kiravel nodded. I accept, she said. But I warn you, I know nothing of human customs. I may make mistakes. We all make mistakes, Wu Jin said. What matters is that we try. They shook hands across the table. Her grip was strong and warm. As they walked toward the docking bay together, Wu Jin wondered what he had just gotten himself into. But when he thought about So-min and Ji-woo, he felt like maybe things might work out after all. The future was uncertain, but at least now they would face it together. The wedding ceremony lasted exactly 3 minutes in the station's legal office. Wu Jin signed papers while Kiravel stood beside him, looking uncomfortable in her damaged armor. The official barely looked up from his computer screen as he declared them married. Walking back to the ship together felt strange. Wu Jin kept glancing at his new wife, still not believing what he had done. Kiravel walked with the careful grace of a trained fighter, her golden eyes watching everything around them. What are you going to tell your daughters? She asked. The truth, Wu Jin said, that you're going to help take care of them now. And if they don't like me, then we'll figure it out together. When they reached the ship, Wu Jin opened the cargo bay door. So-min and Ji-woo were sitting on some supply boxes, playing a hand-clapping game. They looked up when their father entered, then stopped playing when they saw Kiravel behind him. The girls stared at her with wide eyes. They had never seen one of the cat people up close before. Kiravel's ears twitched nervously as she looked down at them. Girls, this is Kiravel, Wu Jin said, trying to sound normal. She's going to be staying with us from now on. So-min found her voice first. Are you really a cat person? She asked. I am Felinian, Kiravel said stiffly. And yes, humans call us cat people. Ji-woo had been studying Kiravel's armor and weapons. Are you a soldier? I was, Kiravel said. Now I am your father's wife. The girls looked at each other, then at their father. They had many questions, but they could tell this was important to him. So-min climbed down from the boxes and walked closer to Kiravel. Do you really have claws? She asked. Kiravel hesitated, then showed her fingertips. The sharp points slid out slowly. So-min gasped with excitement, but Ji-woo moved behind her sister. Don't worry, Kiravel said, pulling her claws back in. I won't hurt you. Can you teach us to fight? So-min asked. So-min, Wu Jin said. That's not appropriate. But Kiravel almost smiled. Maybe some basic defense moves, she said. When you're older, the first few days were difficult. Kiravel slept on a spare bunk in the cargo area. She ate her meals quietly and spoke only when spoken to. The girls watched her with curious eyes but kept their distance. Kiravel tried to help with simple tasks around the ship, but everything was different from what she knew. Human technology worked differently than Felinian systems. She broke 2 data pads trying to help with navigation calculations. I'm sorry, she said after the second one sparked and died in her hands. My strength is hard to control. It's okay, Wu Jin said, though he couldn't really afford to replace it. We'll figure it out. The real problem came 3 days later. Ji-woo had a small stuffed animal that she carried everywhere. It was old and worn, but it had belonged to her mother. She loved it more than anything. While Ji-woo was sleeping, the toy fell behind her bunk. When Kiravel tried to get it out, her claws accidentally tore through the fabric. Stuffing spilled onto the floor. Ji-woo woke up and saw her ruined toy. She started crying loudly. So-min came running to see what was wrong. When she saw the torn stuffed animal, she looked at Kiravel with angry eyes. "You broke Fluffy," So-Min shouted. "Mom gave that to Jiwoo." Kiravel stood there holding the pieces, not knowing what to say. She had dealt with enemy soldiers and war councils, but 2 crying children left her helpless. "I didn't mean to," Kiravel said. "I was trying to help. Go away," Jiwoo sobbed. "I don't want you here." Woojin heard the noise and came running. When he saw what happened, his heart sank. That toy was one of the last connections his daughters had to their mother. Kiravel handed him the pieces and walked away without a word. She locked herself in the cargo bay and didn't come out for dinner. That night, after the girls were asleep, Woojin went to talk to her. He found Kiravel sitting on the floor with tools spread around her. She was working on something small with intense concentration. "What are you doing?" he asked. "Fixing my mistake," she said without looking up. Woojin sat down beside her. She had taken apart the stuffed animal completely and was rebuilding it piece by piece. Her warrior training had taught her precision engineering for maintaining weapons and armor. Now she was using those same skills to repair a child's toy. "The internal structure was weak," she explained. "I'm reinforcing it with microwire. It will be stronger than before." She worked all night. Woojin fell asleep watching her, but woke up when she touched his shoulder. The stuffed animal sat in her hands, looking exactly like it had before, but somehow better. "The fur is softer now," she said, "and it won't tear so easily." When Jiwoo woke up and found her toy fixed, she hugged it tight. Then she looked up at Kiravel with wonder. "You made it better," she whispered. "I made it strong," Kiravel said, "like your mother would have wanted." That was the moment everything changed. The girls stopped being afraid of their new stepmother. They started asking her questions about her homeworld and her people. Kiravel told them stories about the warrior poets of her planet, weaving tales of honor and courage that made their eyes shine. She taught them to identify different types of stars and how to read space navigation charts. When So-Min had trouble with her math homework, Kiravel showed her tactical calculation methods that made the problems easier to understand. "Warriors must be good with numbers," she explained. "Math keeps you alive in space." Woojin watched his family slowly come together. Kiravel was awkward with affection at first, but she learned to braid the girls' hair and help them get dressed. She made up bedtime songs in her own language that sounded like purring lullabies. The breakthrough came when So-Min got sick with stellar fever. It was a common illness for children who lived on ships, but it could be dangerous if not treated properly. Her temperature spiked high and she became delirious. Kiravel refused to leave So-Min's bedside. She used Felinian healing techniques, keeping the girl cool with temperature-regulating pressure points. She hummed healing songs and monitored her breathing through the worst of the fever. For 3 days straight, Kiravel barely slept. She fed So-Min medicine with patient spoonfuls and held her when she had nightmares. Woojin tried to help, but Kiravel had taken complete charge of the situation. "Sleep," she told him. "I will watch over her." On the 3rd night, So-Min's fever finally broke. She opened her eyes and looked up at Kiravel, who was still sitting beside her bed. "Mom?" So-Min whispered, still confused from the illness. Kiravel's breath caught in her throat. "I'm not your mother," she said gently. "But I'm here." "You stayed with me," So-Min said. "Of course I did," Kiravel replied. "That's what mothers do." Later that night, after So-Min was sleeping peacefully, Woojin found Kiravel on the ship's observation deck. She was looking out at the stars with tears in her golden eyes. "Thank you," he said, sitting beside her. "I never thought I could care for cubs," she said. "I was trained for war, not family." "You're a natural at it," Woojin said. "The girls love you already." "I love them too," Kiravel admitted. "It scares me. On my world, love makes you weak. On my world, love makes you strong," Woojin said. "It gives you something worth fighting for." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars wheel slowly past the ship's windows. For the first time since his wife died, Woojin felt like his family was complete again. Their marriage had started as a practical arrangement, but something real was growing between them. Built on shared responsibility and mutual respect, their partnership was becoming something neither of them had expected. A real family, forged in the depths of space. Life aboard the Soul's Dream had settled into a comfortable routine. Woojin handled the flying and cargo operations while Kiravel took care of the ship's maintenance and the girls' education. So-Min and Jiwoo had learned basic Felinian phrases, and could even purr like their stepmother. When they were happy, the family was sharing breakfast in the ship's small galley when the proximity alarm started screaming. Wu Jin jumped up and ran to the control panel, Kiravel close behind him. 3 ships, Wu Jin said, reading the sensors. Military grade. They're jamming our communications. Kiravel looked at the ship signatures and her golden eyes went wide with fear. Those are hegemony hunters, she whispered. They found me. Who's the hegemony? So Min asked, but the adults ignored her question. Can we outrun them? Kiravel asked. Wu Jin shook his head. Not with our old engines. They'll catch us in 10 minutes. The communication system crackled to life despite the jamming. A familiar voice came through the speakers, speaking in the Felinian language. Kiravel's ears flattened against her head and she hissed softly. What's he saying? Wu Jin asked. It's Rothek, she said. My former mate, he wants to talk. The voice switched to basic galactic standard. Human captain, I know you can hear me. I have an offer for you. Wu Jin hit the communication button. This is Captain Li Wu Jin. What do you want? I want the traitor you're harboring, the voice said. Give me Kiravel and I'll pay you 50,000 credits. Enough to buy a new ship and start over somewhere safe. So Min and Jiwoo looked at their father with worried eyes. They didn't understand all the words, but they could feel the danger. What did she do? Wu Jin asked, though he was already sure he didn't want to know. She's a war criminal, Rothek said. She destroyed a military installation and killed thousands of soldiers. The hegemony has placed a death mark on her head. Kiravel stepped forward and took the microphone from Wu Jin's hand. Tell them the truth, Rothek, she said. Tell them about the refugees. There was a long pause. Then Rathek's voice returned, colder now. The human doesn't need to know details. Just hand over the criminal and collect your payment. The installation he's talking about was a prison camp, Kiravel said to Wu Jin. They were going to execute 10,000 civilians, families with children. I destroyed the facility to help them escape. You violated direct orders. Rothek's voice crackled over the speakers. You chose strangers over your own people. I chose what was right, Kiravel replied. Wu Jin looked at his wife, then at his daughters. Solmin was holding Jiwoo's hand tightly. Both girls watched him with trust in their eyes, waiting to see what he would do. Sorry, Wu Jin said into the microphone. She's family. Find someone else to hunt. Rothek's laughter was harsh and bitter. Family, she's using you, human. Felinians don't form bonds with other species. She'll abandon you the moment she finds something better. You're wrong, Somin said suddenly, grabbing the microphone. Kiravel is our mom now. She takes care of us and tells us stories and fixes our toys when they break. The silence from the other ships was long and uncomfortable. Children, Rothek said finally. You're endangering children for her sake, human. Is one exile worth their lives? Wu Jin felt cold fear in his stomach, but he also felt something else. Anger. The same protective rage he'd felt when his wife was killed. Those children are mine to protect, he said. And so is she. You want her? You'll have to go through me first. So be it, Rothek said. You've made your choice. The communication cut off. Wu Jin immediately started plotting a course toward the nearest asteroid field. If they could reach it before the hunters caught them, they might have a chance to hide. I'm sorry, Kiravel said. I should have told you about the bounty. I didn't think they would find me so quickly. It doesn't matter, Wu Jin said, pushing the engines to maximum power. We're in this together now. Kiravel moved to the weapons console and started bringing the ship's small defensive systems online. These guns won't stop military hunters, she said. Then we'll have to be smarter than them, Wu Jin replied. The asteroid field was still 5 minutes away when the first hunter ship opened fire. Energy bolts streaked past the Soul's Dream, lighting up the darkness around them. Wu Jin threw the ship into evasive maneuvers, but the old freighter wasn't built for dogfighting. Girls, get to the emergency shelter, Kiravel ordered. Stay there until we tell you it's safe. But Somin and Jiwoo didn't move. We want to help, Somin said. You can help by staying safe, Wu Jin said, not taking his eyes off the controls. A blast hit their rear shields, making the whole ship shake. Sparks flew from damaged circuits. The girls finally ran to the armored shelter compartment, but Wu Jin could see them watching through the small window. There, Kiravel pointed at the navigation display. That large asteroid has a cave system. If we can make it inside... I see it, Wu Jin said. He aimed the ship at the asteroid, dodging between smaller rocks as the hunters kept firing. They made it into the cave with seconds to spare. The tunnel was narrow and dark, lit only by their ship's lights. Wu Jin had to fly slowly and carefully to avoid hitting the walls. They can't follow us in here with their big ships, he said. No, but they can wait for us to come out, Kiravel replied. And they have time. We don't. The ship's life support systems were damaged from the attack. They had maybe 6 hours of air left in the cave. After that, they would have to leave their hiding place. There might be another way out, Wu Jin said, studying the sensor readings. These caves go deep into the asteroid. Maybe we can find a back exit. They flew deeper into the asteroid, following twisting passages that barely fit their ship. The girls came out of the shelter compartment and watched the rock walls slide past their windows. It's like being inside a dragon, Jiwoo said with wonder. Finally, they found a larger cavern where they could stop and make repairs. Wu Jin and Kiravel worked together to fix the damaged systems while the girls helped by holding tools and watching for problems. Why did that man call you a traitor? Somin asked Kiravel. Kiravel paused in her work. Because I chose to save innocent people instead of following orders, she said. Sometimes the right thing to do is not the legal thing to do. Like when Dad married you without asking the government first, Jiwoo asked. Wu Jin smiled despite their dangerous situation. Exactly like that, he said. As they worked, Kiravel told them more about what really happened during the war. How the hegemony wanted to execute civilian refugees who had fled from human-controlled space. How she had tried to argue with her commanders but was ordered to carry out the killings anyway. I could not do it, she said. So I helped the refugees escape and destroyed the prison facility. Rothek was supposed to help me, but he chose his career over what was right. And now he's hunting you, Wu Jin said. Now he's hunting all of us, Kiravel corrected. I'm sorry I brought this danger to your family. Our family, Wu Jin said firmly. And we'll face it together. The repairs were almost finished when the ship's sensors detected movement outside the asteroid. The hunter ships had found probes into the cave system, small drones that could navigate the narrow passages. They'll find us soon, Kiravel said. We need to move. But as Wu Jin started the engines, he realized something important. The cave system connects to the asteroid mining tunnels, he said. I can see the old rail lines on the sensors. So those tunnels lead to an abandoned mining station on the other side of the asteroid belt, Wu Jin explained. If we can make it there, we can call for help. It was a desperate plan, but it was their only chance. The Soul's Dream flew deeper into the asteroid, following century-old mining rails through passages that had been carved by automated diggers. Behind them, the hunter probes were getting closer. The race through the dark tunnels had begun, and Wu Jin knew that if they lost, his family would pay the price for his decision to protect Kiravel. But as he looked at his wife and daughters working together to navigate through the dangers ahead, he knew he had made the right choice. Family was worth fighting for no matter what the cost. The mining station was even worse than Wu Jin had hoped. Half the structure was broken and floating in space. The other half had no power, no air, and no working communication systems. But it was hidden deep in the asteroid belt, and that gave them time to think. We can't stay here long, Kiravel said as they docked with the old station. The life support on our ship won't last more than a day with 4 people. Maybe we can fix the station's systems, Wu Jin said. But even as he said it, he knew it was hopeless. The mining station had been abandoned for 50 years. Nothing worked anymore. Somin and Jiwoo explored the empty corridors while their parents tried to make plans. The girls found old mining equipment and broken computers covered in dust. Everything looked like it had been left in a hurry. Dad, look at this, Somin called from a storage room. She had found boxes of mining explosives, still sealed in their containers. Wu Jin and Kiravel came to look. The explosives were old but still dangerous. Kiravel picked up one of the containers and examined it with professional interest. These are industrial charges, she said, for breaking up large rocks. They're stable but very powerful. An idea began to form in Wu Jin's mind. How powerful? Enough to collapse a tunnel, Kiravel said. Or destroy a small ship, why? Before Wu Jin could answer, their ship's proximity alarm started sounding again. Through the station's broken windows, they could see 3 dots of light moving between the asteroids. The hunter ships had found them. How did they track us so quickly? Wu Jin asked. Rothek is a good hunter, Kiravel said sadly. That's why the hegemony sent him after me. The family gathered in the station's control room and watched the hunter ships approach. There was nowhere left to run. The Soul's Dream was too slow and too damaged to escape again. I should surrender, Kiravel said. Let them take me. You and the girls can go free? No, So-min said firmly. We don't leave family behind. The child is right, Woo-jin said. We stick together. That's what families do. Ji-woo was looking at the mining equipment they had found. Dad, remember when you told us about the smart mouse that beat the big cat? That was just a story, sweetheart, Woo-jin said. But the mouse won because it was clever, right? It used the cat's size against it. Woo-jin looked at his daughter with growing understanding. Then he looked at the mining explosives and the broken station around them. Maybe there was a way. Kiravel, how good are Rothek's reflexes? He asked. Very good. Why? Good enough to dodge falling rocks? Kiravel stared at him for a moment, then smiled with all her sharp teeth showing. You want to bring down the asteroid on them. The mining charges are placed to break rocks efficiently, Woo-jin said. If we set them off in the right sequence, the whole asteroid belt section could collapse, Kiravel finished. But we'd be caught in it too. Not if we time it right. They worked quickly to set up their trap. Kiravel used her engineering skills to connect the mining charges to the station's old detonation system. Woo-jin programmed a delay sequence that would give them time to escape. The girls helped by carrying equipment and watching for the approaching hunter ships. They seemed to think the whole thing was an exciting adventure rather than a deadly trap. Will it really work? So-min asked as they attached the last explosive charge. It has to work, Woo-jin said. We don't have any other choice. The hunter ships reached the mining station and demanded surrender over their communication system. Rothek's voice echoed through the empty corridors. Come out, Kiravel, he called. You can't hide forever. Think about those human children. Do you want them to die for your crimes? The only crime I committed was having a conscience, Kiravel replied into her communicator. Conscience is a luxury warriors cannot afford, Rothek said. You learned that lesson too late. The hunter ships began to dock with the mining station. Woo-jin could see armed soldiers preparing to board. They had only minutes before the trap would be discovered. Everyone to the ship, he ordered. Get ready to run. But as they reached the Soul's Dream, disaster struck. One of the hunter ships had positioned itself directly behind their docking port. They were trapped between the station and the enemy vessel. That was when Ji-woo proved she had been paying attention to all of Kiravel's lessons. The 8-year-old girl slipped away from the group, while the adults were planning their next move. She crawled through the station's ventilation system, just like Kiravel had taught her during their emergency drills. The first they knew of her plan was when the hunter ship's engines suddenly shut down. Then the lights went out on the vessel. Ji-woo had found the ship's power coupling and disconnected it, just like she had seen her father do when repairing their own ship. Ji-woo, Kiravel called over the communicator. Where are you? I'm in the big ship, Ji-woo's voice came back, sounding proud and scared at the same time. I broke their engines like you taught me. Rothek's angry voice roared over the communication system. Find that child. Kill her if you have to. That was a mistake. Kiravel's golden eyes turned to burning fire when she heard the threat to her daughter. Her protective instincts, both as a warrior and as a mother, took complete control. No one threatens my cubs, she snarled. And suddenly she was moving like the deadly fighter she had been trained to be. Kiravel ran through the station corridors faster than any human could move. Her claws extended and her enhanced senses guided her toward the hunter soldiers who were trying to find Ji-woo. Woo-jin followed as best he could, carrying the detonation device that would trigger their trap. So-min stayed close beside him, determined not to be left behind. They found the first group of soldiers in the station's main corridor. These were professional fighters with advanced weapons and armor, but they had never faced anything like a mother protecting her young. Kiravel hit them like a golden whirlwind. Her claws cut through their armor and her speed made their weapons useless. In seconds, 3 trained soldiers were down and the 4th was running away in terror. This way, So-min said, reading the station's old directory signs. The ventilation system leads to the docking bay. They found Ji-woo hiding in a maintenance shaft, clutching her communicator and shaking with fear. When she saw her family, she started crying with relief. I did good, right? She asked as Kiravel pulled her into a fierce hug. You did perfect, Kiravel said, but don't ever scare me like that again. More soldiers were coming. They could hear boots running through the corridors and angry voices shouting orders. Rothek himself appeared at the end of the hallway, his weapon raised. Enough games, he said. Surrender now or watch your family die. But he had made another mistake. In his anger, he had gotten too close to the mining charges that Woo-jin and Kiravel had planted throughout the station. Wu Jin held up the detonation device. "One more step and I blow this whole section," he said. Rathek laughed. "You'll kill yourself too." "Maybe," Wu Jin said. "But you'll definitely die. Is catching one exile worth your life?" For the first time, Rathek looked uncertain. Behind him, his soldiers were backing away nervously. They had signed up to hunt a war criminal, not to die in a mining station explosion. "You're bluffing," Rathek said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Am I?" Wu Jin asked. Then he looked at his family. His wife, who had sacrificed everything to save innocent lives. His daughters, who trusted him to keep them safe. Some things are worth dying for. He pressed the button. The explosions began at the far end of the station and moved toward them in a carefully timed sequence. The mining charges detonated one after another, bringing down sections of the asteroid around them. "Move," Kiravel shouted. The family ran toward their ship as the station collapsed around them. Rocks fell from the ceiling and the floor shook with each explosion. Behind them, they could hear Rathek and his soldiers screaming as they tried to escape the avalanche. They reached the Soul's Dream, just as the final charges went off. Wu Jin threw the ship into reverse, pulling away from the station as fast as their damaged engines could manage. Through the rear cameras, they watched the mining station disappear in a cloud of rock and debris. 2 of the hunter ships were caught in the collapse and destroyed completely. The third ship, Rathek's vessel, limped away with heavy damage. "Is he dead?" Somin asked. "I don't know," Kiravel said, "but he won't be following us anymore." As they flew away from the destroyed station, Wu Jin felt a mixture of relief and sadness. They had won, but the victory had come at a high cost. They were still fugitives with nowhere safe to go. "What do we do now?" he asked. Kiravel put her arms around both girls and looked out at the stars ahead of them. "We find a new home," she said. "Somewhere we can live as a family without anyone hunting us." "Will we be safe there?" Jiwoo asked. "We'll be together," Kiravel replied. "That's what matters most." 6 months later, the Lee family had found their new home among the independent colonies. The planet New Haven was nothing like Earth or Kiravel's homeworld, but it was peaceful and safe. Most importantly, it was far from hegemony space where bounty hunters might find them. Wu Jin had gotten work flying supply runs between the colony worlds. His reputation as a reliable pilot who could handle dangerous cargo runs had spread quickly. The colonial governments paid well for pilots brave enough to fly through contested space. Kiravel had surprised everyone, including herself, by accepting a job training the colonial defense forces. Her experience as a warrior and tactical expert made her valuable to people who had never fought a real war. She taught farmers and shopkeepers how to defend their homes if raiders or pirates attacked. Somin and Jiwoo attended the colony school with children from a dozen different species. They were learning math and history alongside young humans, aliens who breathed methane, and creatures that looked like walking plants. The girls had become minor celebrities for being the only students who could speak 3 languages and purr like cats. Life was good, but it was about to change again. Wu Jin was in his workshop repairing a damaged cargo container when the emergency alarm started wailing across the colony. He dropped his tools and ran outside to see what was happening. In the sky above New Haven, a massive fleet of warships hung like dark clouds. They were bigger than anything the colonies had ever seen, bristling with weapons and armor. The hegemony had found them. "All citizens report to emergency shelters immediately," the colony's speakers announced. "This is not a drill." Wu Jin ran to the school to collect his daughters while Kiravel hurried to the Defense Command Center. Somin and Jiwoo were scared but tried to be brave as their father led them toward the underground shelters. "Are we going to have to run again?" Somin asked. "I don't know," Wu Jin said honestly. "But whatever happens, we stay together." At the command center, colonial leaders were arguing with each other in panicked voices. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others talked about fighting back even though everyone knew it was hopeless. "We have maybe 50 small fighters against 300 hegemony warships," General Park said. "They're demanding our unconditional surrender and the handover of all war criminals. We can't win this fight." "Then we evacuate," suggested Colonel Kim. "Load the transports and run." "Run where?" General Park asked. "They'll hunt us down eventually." Kiravel had been listening quietly, but now she stepped forward. "What if we don't run or surrender?" she said. "What if we fight smart instead of fighting hard?" "Explain," General Park said. "Humans are good at making things work," Kiravel said. "You turn farming equipment into weapons. You make cargo ships into warships. You find ways to win fights you shouldn't be able to win. We're listening, Colonel Kim said. The hegemony expects us to either surrender or fight a traditional space battle, Kiravel continued. They've prepared for both options. But what if we do something they don't expect? Over the next few hours, Kiravel and the colonial leaders developed a desperate plan. It was crazy and dangerous, but it might work if everyone did their part perfectly. The plan required every able-bodied person in the colonies to help. Farmers would modify their equipment into weapons. Cargo pilots would fly combat missions in ships never designed for fighting. Factory workers would build improvised missiles from mining equipment. Most importantly, they would use the colony's greatest advantage. They knew this space better than any outsider. Wu Jin found himself assigned to command a squadron of converted cargo ships. His experience flying through dangerous space made him valuable as a combat pilot, even though he had never fired a weapon in anger. I'm scared, he admitted to Kiravel as they prepared for battle. Good, she said. Fear keeps you alive, but remember what we're fighting for. Our home, Wu Jin said. Our family, Kiravel corrected. All of our families. The battle began when the colonial fighters launched what looked like a desperate attack on the hegemony fleet. The enemy commanders laughed at the sight of cargo ships and civilian vessels flying toward their mighty warships. But the attack was a distraction. While the hegemony focused on the obvious threat, hidden ships were moving into position throughout the asteroid fields and space stations around New Haven. Kiravel's plan used the colony's industrial infrastructure as a weapon. Mining lasers that normally cut through rock were refocused to slice through ship armor. Cargo containers were filled with explosives and launched like giant missiles. Factory ships that built equipment became mobile weapon platforms. Remember, Kiravel broadcast to all colonial forces. We're not trying to destroy their entire fleet. We just need to make them decide that conquering us costs more than it's worth. The fighting was fierce and dangerous. Many colonial ships were destroyed by the superior hegemony weapons. But for every colonial vessel lost, they took down enemy fighters using tactics the professional soldiers had never seen before. Wu Jin led his cargo ships in hit-and-run attacks, using asteroid fields for cover and striking at the enemy supply vessels. Somin and Jiwoo helped from the ground by coordinating communications between different colonial units. Dad, 3 enemy fighters are coming up on your left side. Somin's voice crackled over the radio. I see them, Wu Jin replied, diving his converted freighter behind a large asteroid. The battle lasted for 3 days. The hegemony fleet slowly realized they were not fighting a traditional enemy. Every time they destroyed one colonial position, 2 more appeared somewhere else. Every time they thought they had won, new attacks came from unexpected directions. On the 3rd day, something changed. A small group of hegemony ships broke away from the main fleet and approached New Haven under a white flag. They wanted to negotiate. The enemy commander who came to the surface was not Rothek, but an older Felinian with gray fur and tired eyes. Admiral Velkarn had fought many battles and conquered many worlds, but he had never seen anything like the colonial defense. Your people fight like nothing I have ever encountered, he told Kiravel and General Park during the negotiations. We expected to conquer this system in 1 day. Instead, we have lost 60 ships and gained nothing. We told you we wouldn't surrender, General Park said. Yes, but I thought you were bluffing, Admiral Velkarn replied. Humans always surrender when they are clearly beaten. Except you didn't, you got stronger. This is our home, Kiravel said. We will fight for it as long as we have breath in our bodies. The Admiral studied her with interest. You are the exile, Kiravel. There is still a bounty on your head. Then try to collect it, Kiravel said calmly. Admiral Velkarn was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He smiled. I withdraw my claim, he said. Any warrior who can teach farmers to fight like elite soldiers deserves respect, not punishment. The peace treaty was signed that evening. The hegemony agreed to recognize the independent colonies as a sovereign territory. In exchange, the colonies would remain neutral in future conflicts and would not harbor active enemies of the hegemony. The celebration lasted all night. People danced in the streets and children ran around laughing with joy. Somin and Jiwoo were heroes at school for their part in the battle. Other kids wanted to learn how to speak Felinian and how to purr like cats. A week later, Wu Jin and Kiravel sat on their front porch watching the sunset over New Haven. The girls were playing in the yard with friends from school. A mix of human and alien children who had become like family. I never thought I would have this, Kiravel said. A real home with people who care about me. You earned it, Woojin replied. We all did. What will you tell people when they ask how we won the war? Kiravel asked. Woojin thought about it for a moment. I'll tell them the truth, he said. That humans don't win because we're stronger or smarter than everyone else. We win because we don't know how to give up when we're fighting for family, and because we make family out of anyone willing to stand with us. Kiravel added. Especially that, Woojin agreed. That night, after the girls were asleep, the colonial government held a formal ceremony. Kiravel was granted full citizenship and took the name Kiravel Lee. Woojin was awarded the Colonial Medal of Honor for his service during the war. But the moment that meant the most to both of them came when Somin and Jiwoo ran up on stage during the ceremony. Mom, Dad, we have something to say, Somin announced. Jiwoo took the microphone with serious 8-year-old dignity. We want everyone to know that our mom is the bravest person in the galaxy. She saved thousands of people and taught us how to be strong. And our dad is the best pilot ever because he never gives up on family. We're proud to be Lees, Somin added. All 4 of us. As the crowd cheered and applauded, Woojin looked at his family and realized something important. When he had first proposed to Kiravel in that cantina, he thought he was just finding someone to help take care of his daughters. Instead, he had found something much more valuable. He had found proof that the strongest families are not born from blood, but built from love, loyalty, and the willingness to stand together when the whole galaxy seems against you. And in the end, that was the most human thing of all.